Monster Hunter is such a great series, from its early days for testing the online of the PS2, to Monster Hunter World being Capcom's best-selling game in the company's history. A series with big-ass monsters, cool weapons and armors, and rewarding combat, it's a no-brainer that films would be made eventually. But they wasted the potential of the series. Monster Hunter 2020, or as I will be referring to, the live action, and Legends of the Guild are the movies in question. Both releasing pretty close to each other, although the latter was supposed to come out in 2019, but it was delayed due unknown reasons. Both movies got mixed reviews when they were released, both for different reasons that I want to explain. The live action film has some pretty good visual effects. The monsters look really nice, but their colors are a little muted. It is certainly some good ass eye candy when hunts happen, although the setting where it takes place is quite bland. Most of the movie happens in a desert that is completely empty, and then an oasis, but it's such a short time and no major hunts happen. Another thing about the movie is that it's weirdly gory for no reason. Like, a dude gets his body infested with baby spiders, a Nursilla gets his face cut in half, and a really, and I mean really detailed carving of its stinger. It just feels out of place. Legends of the Guild is quite hit or miss in this department. Some shots look quite good and others look plain wonky. Like, the Nursilla hunt, same monster in the movie, has some weird movement and the blood just looks horrible. And some of the character animations look as though they were made in Source Filmmaker. Now, it's not all bad, but it's something you notice when watching the movie. In the live action, we're presented with a cast of military rangers that almost immediately gets wiped out, except for the main protagonist, Artemis. It feels that the movie wants us to care for her squad, but they're around for so little time and the movie does not do a good job at giving us a reason to feel empathy for when they die. And they're almost immediately forgotten when they do. Artemis's only character trait is that she's a leader. That's literally all. The characters of the alternative world aren't fleshed out at all except for the hunter, but his only real character trait is that his wife and daughter died to a monster and he likes chocolate. The other characters of the alternative world are based off of characters from Monster Hunter World, but they don't do anything in the story except the Admiral and are only there for fan service. Legends of the Guild has 3 returning characters from the main series. Aiden, also known as the Ace Cadet in Monster Hunter 4 and the excitable A-lister in Monster Hunter World, Julius, the Ace Commander in Monster Hunter 4, and Nadia, the Ace Gunner in Monster Hunter 4 as well. There's also 3 new characters, Nox, May, and Ravi. The characters sadly don't have much time to develop inside the movie. But if you played Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, the game where Aiden, Julius, and Nadia appear in, and to a lesser extent World where only Aiden appears, you get to see the character traits on display in a way never seen in the games. But that can't be said for the movie original characters. Due to the length of the film, the backstory of these characters feels rushed. May and Ravi get their past shown to us right before the last fight, where, spoiler alert, they die. Ravi really got the short end of the stick. He only appears in 4 scenes, one where he's introduced, one where they're building the Dragonator, one where his backstory is exposed, and the final battle. May is more developed than Ravi, but still suffers from the length of the movie. And then there's Nox. He's fine, he's just a comic relief. In this department, the live action fails miserably. First, let's talk about the weapons. The movie has some representation of the weapons, but all the weapons are made out of bone. Well, yes, the designs of the weapons are from the games, but there's so many cool and wacky weapon designs from the games that it feels like a missed opportunity. Like, there's a gun hammer, drill hammers, drill dual blades, chainsaw dual blades, cutlery dual blades, pizza charge blade, cat switch axe, syringe gun, fish raid sword, fish bone bow, literally all the fucking hunting horns. Literally, you could have chose any of them or one of the more normal weapons. Okay, back on topic. The weapons shown in the movies have elemental properties, that being fire, and in the final shot, electricity, which those weapons do not do that in game. No, they don't. But that's not the worst part. Some of them are not even represented correctly. Like the switch axe is used like a greatsword and spews out elementals. The sword and shield is missing its shield, and the insect glaive is missing the insect part of its namesake. Next, let's talk about the monsters. First off, there are only 5 types of monsters, 3 big and 2 small, which is absolutely nothing. I'm not saying that they should put a buttload of monsters in, but there's so many monsters that could display stunning visuals and just look cool. Now, that's only the tip of the problems with the monsters. The way they translate them from the games to the movie is far worse. First off, there's Diablos. Diablos is treated like a carnivore even though they're herbivores. And even though, in the lore, they're hyper-territorial, it does not make sense that they would wait in a single area for things it can't eat. Next is Nasilla. First off, is that they're not pack hunters. They usually hunt alone. Secondly, they are not weak to the sun. They can perfectly be in direct sunlight and not be weakened nor blinded. Lastly, they don't lay eggs in humans nor are shown to do it in any other monster. Last up, there's Rathalos. They fucking butchered him. First off, they make him do things that just don't make any sense. Like him burning the oasis. That makes no sense because he eats the creatures in there, right? Oh wait, the movie makes him... Well, I'll just show you this clip.
The ancients would guard their technology with the most fearsome of creatures, a Rathalos. Almost impossible to kill. Their only weakness is just before they breathe fire.
They treat him like he's the apex of apex predators, even though in the Monster Hunter universe there are more, and I mean more, monsters that are more fearsome than him. And as hunters in the games, you make boots out of them sons of bitches. Also, a little bit of a tangent, but I'm pretty sure machine guns will kill Rathalos. Like, modern weaponry would absolutely kill any monster, like, even Elder Dragons. Like, I don't understand logic of how bone weapons that are made out of bones literally are more proficient than steel going at thousands of miles per hour. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, at least. In Legends of the Guild, they do a much better job to show how the world of Monster Hunter is. First off, the weapons. While there is less of them compared to the live action, there's such more diversity of the materials and not just bone, which is really cool as a fan of the series. Next are the monsters. First off, there's a lot more variety in the monsters in the movie, and while most of them are not hunted, it's still cool to see them in a movie format. And in the accuracy department, it blows it out of the park. All of the monsters act like they should in the hunts, and are not all presented like some murder machines. Well, except for Lunastra, but for reasons it makes sense. Another thing about the lore is that it tells you more about the world and how things work, like the reasons hunters exist, and that is to maintain the balance of nature. The pacing of both of the movies are not good. The live action has scenes that drag a lot, and others that feel like they don't matter. While Legend of the Guild does too much for the time it's giving, which leaves no room for the viewers to breathe. And as I said before, the characters don't have time to develop and grow on the viewers. There are a couple of scenes in the live action that are quite noteworthy. Like, when a group of Apsaras just run off a cliff running from the Rathalos, it's really funny when you realize what's actually happening in the scene. Like, they're just running towards the ledge, just asking to fall off. Another one is when the muscular chef, the chef cat, for some reason blows a kiss at the main character, and it's really out of nowhere. Like, there was barely any interaction between them, and it just caught me off guard. If I were to choose which movie I preferred the most, I'd choose Legend of the Guild. But if I didn't know anything about Monster Hunter, I'd probably choose the live action. Even for all that I bashed it for, a random person would prefer a mindless action and visual effects over a mid-animation quality animated film, even if it's more accurate to its source material, cause the person just wouldn't care. Both of the movies have things to improve on, and we can only hope for the next adaptation to blow it out of the park.